Windyville, Missouri, a small, unincorporated community around the areas of Buffalo and Lebanon in the Missouri Ozarks. If you stand outside in Windyville at night, you hear insects, wind through the trees, maybe a distant coyote. Or do you say coyote?
Coyote, I think.
I'm not sure. There are things you don't hear there. You don't hear traffic, you don't hear lots of sirens, and you don't hear many neighbors talking across the fence. Because in Windyville, number one, not many homes and lots of space between homes, space between people, space where things can happen unnoticed. It's the kind of place where someone could live off grid, where barns are often bigger than the houses, and where a property might include multiple structures hidden behind tree cover. This is where things are happening in our case today. It is a beautiful town, very remote town, and in this case, rare and tragic. It can also conceal things. And in the summer of 2021, it was hiding something unspeakable. Today, we're going to tell the story of 33-year-old Cassidy Rainwater, a woman whose life ended in unimaginable violence and terror on a secluded rural property in Missouri. Welcome to Missouri Mayhem, Mystery and Murder. I'm Megan.
And I'm Mindy. Thank you for being with us today. Wherever you are listening from, we hope you are having an amazing day.
Yes, thank you guys for listening. We have some listeners in Jamaica, Japan.
Whoa.
We've had some from Cancun.
We still have a Dubai listener?
You know what? Not as often. So I don't know
Aw.
what's happening, Dubai listener, but come back.
Come back.
Come back to us. But yes, thank you guys for being with us today. And if you live in our neck of the woods, the weather has been amazing here
It
lately.
has been nice.
We've been very fortunate to have a mild winter, and hopefully you guys have been able to enjoy it. So my youngest son plays college baseball, and we've been outside the last couple weekends. Now, last weekend was a little chilly, but we've had some really, really nice weather. So
Good.
what have you been doing? Have you been doing anything on your side by side?
Oh, yeah.
I figured. What have you been doing?
Picking up sticks.
Cleaning.
Cleaning.
Yes.
And I have a little mini saw that you got. Yeah, it's a little mini chainsaw, and I like to cut up trees. Yeah, I do. I feel really cool. Ross like, you're going to cut your arm off. You're going to cut your finger off. I'm like,
careful.
I'm not.
I'm not. Nice. So you've been out there
I've been outside
getting some
work
things done. Well, you guys, today's episode, like we said, does take place in 2021, which is only 5 years ago. So pretty recent, one of our most recent cases. Can you think of anything in particular from the year 2021 besides being post-COVID?
That's all I can think of.
Right.
Is 2020, 2021, COVID. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about 2021. Again, not that long ago. Now, Windyville, like I said earlier, lies on between kind of Lebanon, a little town called Buffalo, and Bennett Springs State Park. Now, if you grew up in the neck of woods we did, you might have went on some float trips a few times.
Yes.
Well, this is near that area, which is called the Niangua.
Yes.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
And Corkery campsite and the Niangua River. So this is where this is happening, around that area. Beautiful area.
Yeah.
We used to take float trips on. Now, 2021, this is a year that felt like, well, we're still kind of in COVID. We're trying to restart. How do we move forward? But we didn't quite know how. And so in 2021, again, this is the second full year of the COVID pandemic, and much debate over masks, vaccine mandates, school reopening battles. Do we reopen? Do we not? Staffing shortages. I mean, this really, we thought 2020 was crazy. I think 2021 was even crazier in the sense of how do we pick up the pieces? Also in 2021, this was the year where, well, private citizens, AKA the 1% billionaires, could go to space.
Oh.
So in 2021, we had Jeff Bezos flying aboard the Blue Origin. We had Richard Branson launching the Virgin Galactic, and Elon Musk's, of course, SpaceX. In my opinion, very ridiculous. From what I heard, this cost millions and millions of dollars for these people to do that. And I think that money could have been used somewhere else. Now, they're all flying into space while we're worried about our masks and whether or not we can find toilet paper.
Right.
Now, just a point there. Another major event in 2021, which was April, that was the whole murder of George Floyd.
Mhm.
And the police officer from Minneapolis, Derek Chauvin, however you say that, was convicted of that. And that was a very, of course, nationally known
Yeah.
case. Now, some fun popular culture facts from 2021, which is fun. So even in hard years like 2020 and 2021, we still have music, we still have culture. Of course, Wordle quietly launched in 2021 and then became like an obsession in 2022. Gas prices were rising, housing market exploding, and remote work started becoming
Yes,
very
because
common.
of
COVID.
COVID.
Yes,
That was a good thing.
I
I
think
think a
so
lot of
too.
people enjoyed working from home.
I think a lot of
Not
people,
COVID was a good thing, but
no,
working from home.
but I think a lot of businesses found that like they didn't need their people to come in every day
Well,
from
they
8
don't
to
need
5 to get work done.
they don't really even need a physical building
No,
anymore,
like, a lot of people can do their job from home, and so I
and
do think
maybe
that's
do a better job of it
right,
from home.
exactly, agreed. Let's see. So, yeah, that's 2021 in a nutshell. In terms of Missouri, at that time, our governor was Mike Parsons. In sports, the Kansas City Chiefs did play in the Super Bowl that year, but I believe lost. And the St. Louis Cardinals made big headlines in Missouri that year because they had a historic 17-game winning streak in
Oh.
September. So, anyways, that's what was happening.
Well,
So, in places like Windyville in 2021, land's still affordable compared to the cities.
yeah.
People still relied on septic systems and well water, which I don't know, that's normal. A lot of people still rely on that. Volunteer fire departments are essential, and broadband internet is spotty. So these are these little towns that are kind of on the fringe of becoming modern.
Yeah.
Now, I had to include the baby names. So,
Oh, I'm so glad. It's my favorite thing ever.
yes, these kids would have been born around, gosh, let's see, in 2021, right now they'd be 4,
Yeah.
5. So these are kindergartners.
Yes.
So out there, we have a lot of 5-year-olds named Liam, Noah, Oliver, Elijah, James, William, Benjamin, Lucas, Henry, and Theodore was in the top 10 in 2021 for the
Yes.
first time. Top girls' names: Olivia, Emma, Charlotte, Amelia, Varia, Bridgerton, Ava, Sophia, Isabella, Mia, Evelyn, and Hoppa. So, so I like all those names.
I do too.
Yeah.
Everything.
Now, let's see. Trends we forgot about: matching sweatsuits. That's still a thing.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, I have the
Yeah, Crocs. I got some of them. The Stanley Cup wasn't viral yet, but oversized tumblers
Oh.
were making the rave. And then neutral home decor. Everyone's going
New-
gray and
Oh.
tan.
Yes, now they're going white.
Yeah. It's funny how those things go in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then as soon as you do your house all white, it's out of style.
Right. Exactly. So that's 2021 in a
All right.
nutshell. Now, while the world's arguing online about masks or no masks, billionaires are flying to space, and sports are still kind of giving people hope, in a quiet stretch of the Missouri Ozarks, far from all the headlines, something unspeakable is happening on a rural property in Dallas County, Missouri. So while the world watched global chaos, Cassidy Rainwater is fighting for her life.
Oh gosh.
Attention listeners.
Attention listeners, reminder and trigger warning. This episode does contain descriptions of violence against women, torture, and physical abuse. Please take care while listening.
You guys, this is a very, very hard story to hear what happened to this person. And of course, I will tell you what happened, but I'm not going to go into major detail. But because I think you can,
if you're interested in major details and we don't want to tell you about them, you're welcome to discover them yourself.
Exactly. You can Google the Cassidy Rainwater case and you'll get lots of information. Now let's talk about Cassidy. Cassidy Ann Rainwater was born in 1988, and she actually grew up around this area in Lebanon, Missouri. And she had connections throughout her life to several different counties in this area: Dallas County, Greene County, and Laclede counties. And she was described as a small town girl with a soft voice and a big heart. She was the mother of 6
Oh, wow.
children. Remember that. She's
Okay.
the mom of 6
6
children. Her family described Cassidy as a loving woman with a very outgoing and large personality. She loved to spend time outdoors, especially along the rivers, the Niangua River,
Yes.
where she loved to search for arrowheads.
Okay.
Friends described her as kind, sensitive, gentle, someone who loved animals, and someone that made you laugh all the time. Like she's just someone and made you feel comfortable. But Cassidy's adult life was not easy. Like many people navigating trauma, financial instability, and complicated relationships, Cassidy struggled most of her adult life, and her life was difficult. To start off with, there's a tragic parallel to Cassidy's own fate. In 2007, Cassidy's mom, Tracy Wawaskik, I think I said that correctly, her own mother, Tracy Wawaskik, also mysteriously disappears in 2007 when Cassidy is about 20 years old. Not quite.
Oh my goodness.
Her remains were never found. Her remains were not found until almost a year later, just in a field in Laclede County. And no one was ever prosecuted for that, all that. And basically, she went missing April 13th, 2007. She was 43. At the time, her boyfriend, Leonard Couch, told authorities that maybe she went looking for arrowheads, which sounds a little suspicious.
Yeah.
An interest Cassidy also shared, as we
Yeah.
said, but she never returned. Her skeletal remains again and clothing were discovered a year later in May of '08 by a farmer spreading fertilizer in his field, and the remains were found scattered. They don't know if that's by animal activity, rising water from the river, or something else. But in terms of an investigation into what happened to Tracy and her death, forensic anthropologists said they could not find any trauma on the bones recovered, which doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's just the bones. And again, what I read, no official cause of death was ever released. Her case was labeled suspicious, and as of today, remains an open
And
investigation.
that's Cassidy's mother.
This is
all
not
Cassidy's
Cassidy.
mother,
This
right.
is her mom. So this is something she has lived with most of her adult, knowing her mom was probably murdered and no resolution to that. Following Cassidy's murder, which we're going to talk about in a minute, there was intense public speculation that maybe the two were related. But again, one's in '07, one's in '21. The Laclede County coroner stated in 2021 that he did not believe there was any connection between what happens to Cassidy and what happened to her mom.
That's crazy.
At the time of her death, Cassidy was staying with an acquaintance to get back on her feet. Her grandfather had recently passed away, and that's who she'd been living with. I'm guessing they had to sell his property, so she was looking for somewhere else to live. So really, she was kind of a displaced person at the time. Family and friends noted that for a while, she had been struggling with some homelessness. And some people said that they used the phrase she was kind of in a bad way right before her disappearance. Meaning she was homeless, not very stable financially. She was a mother of 6. From what we can tell, for sure, she did not have custody of at least one of her children. One of her children, for sure, had been adopted by another family, like a totally another family, not like her family member. Because she was having such a tough time. So I think she was pretty desperate. If she's going to allow someone to
Take
adopt.
her child, yeah.
Now, the other 5 children, I'm not sure where they were added in this situation, if they were with fathers or what. But Cassidy's father also mentioned that he worried about her because of her past and the way she moved around a lot. And she was kind of transient. And he had offered for her to move to Kansas City where he was living. Because she's living, down in the Ozarks. And he said, if you'll come here, I'll help restabilize or, help you. Maybe we can get things back in order. Now, how quickly did he offer that? Her relationship with her father, I really don't know. Like, to me, I'm like, okay, that's a perfect solution. But if she has kids down there, she doesn't, I don't know. So, again, periods of housing instability, periods where she relied on friends and acquaintances to get by. That's not uncommon.
No.
That is definitely not criminal, and that is even not a character flaw.
No.
Everybody has moments in their life where they're literally just trying to survive.
Yes.
And that's what she was doing.
And you know what? We've talked about this before, and that's okay to go through those times.
Yes.
And it strengthens you, honestly.
Right.
But
it tells you what you do and don't want your life to be like, or what, again, not holding any of that over Cassidy. Sadly, though, we know when you're trying to survive and you're just trying to get things figured out, sometimes you rely on people that either you don't know that well or you think you can trust because you really don't have an alternative.
You're kind of desperate.
Yes, and you're like, anyone who's willing to help me, great.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happened here. So I think that's how we end up at this location of this
Okay.
horrific crime, because by mid-2021, Cassidy, out of desperation, had started staying on this rural property near Windyville in Dallas County, Missouri. Now, that property was located on Moon Valley Road, which is a cool name for a road
Mhm.
if it wasn't associated with this.
Yeah.
So that property was located on Moon Valley Road, which is quite north of Springfield, and belonged to 59-year-old James Phelps.
Okay.
And sadly, this decision to rely on James Phelps and stay at his property
So she just found some
cost her
land.
everything.
She found some land that she could just kind of like hang out on.
Well, we're going to talk about how she knew James.
Okay.
Okay. So this case, though, doesn't just involve James. This case involves two main perpetrators, two main bad people. I want
Okay.
to call them names, but I'm not going to do that. But
Okay.
two bad people, James Phelps and his friend named Timothy Norton. Now, really quickly, who's James? Well, James, like I told you, was 59 years old at the time of this incident. He owned this secluded property about 15 miles from Buffalo, Missouri, and about 30 minutes outside of Lebanon. And it included a house, a barn, and multiple outbuildings scattered across acreage.
Okay.
He had a very wooded property. Now, I couldn't find too much about exactly like how well Cassidy knew James, but from what reports say, they were family acquaintances, as both families had lived in the Lebanon area for quite some time. So we think the small town we're from, like, it's no different than, okay, we grew up together with this family. My parents know their parents type of thing. Like, okay, I'm not best friends with them. He's quite a bit older than her, but hey, like, you're not a murderer. I've known your family this whole lot.
Right.
You know?
I need some help.
Yeah, and he's willing to help her.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was like there were these red flags saying, to her anyways,
No.
that I could tell right away. Now, neighbors later described James as reclusive, private, and odd. That's never good.
No.
Court records show Phelps had prior run-ins with law enforcement over the years, including a firearm-related charge and drug offenses. But none of that is going to foreshadow what he's capable of and the brutality of what is discovered.
Okay.
Basically, he lived quietly, isolated, except for this friendship with Timothy Norton. So who's Timothy Norton? Well, Timothy Norton's 56, couple years younger at the time. He has a longer criminal history, again, mainly petty theft and drugs. James and Timothy went to school together in that area, had been lifelong friends, and spent a lot of time together. He was known to frequently be at Phelps's property. He would sometimes even stay there, and he was an over-the-road trucker, and he would often park his truck there.
Okay.
And claim to like sleep in it on his property. He was considered kind of a drifter. Again, claimed to live in his truck when not working, did odd jobs. It was also found, I did not find anything specifically about James. I mean, he had drug offenses too, but it sounded like Tim definitely had a major substance abuse issue throughout his life. Now, to outsiders, these were just two Missouri friends kind of living off the beaten path. Normal.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
totally.
yeah. Nobody, again, would have suspected what these two men were capable of, which includes torture, murder, and violence.
Great.
So let's talk about Cassidy's last known moments before she disappears. Cassidy was last known to be alive sometime in July 2021. And when people tend to move around a lot, they're transient, they're not in a location reliably, it's easy kind of for them to go off the radar and nobody missed them.
Yeah.
And there wasn't an immediate, like, high-profile missing person alert. Again, she's homeless or living kind of this homeless lifestyle right now, and people assume she's just moving from location to location. We haven't seen her. Now, at some point, she is officially reported as missing in August of 2021. I'm not sure by officially who, but someone's like, I have not seen Cassidy for like a month. Where is she? And they report it. The police asked James, they had heard Cassidy had been staying on James's property. So they asked James, is Cassidy still there? People are looking for her. Oh, no, he said no. She decided she was going to go to Colorado, and I haven't seen her since then. Yeah.
I feel like this is a lie.
Yes. But making this assumption and by believing James's lie, this case and Cassidy were almost buried forever. It's not a miracle that this case got solved, but there was a big chance that this could have gone unsolved forever, and you'll
Wow.
hear why. Okay, so the way that this gets kicked open,
Mhm.
technology.
Okay.
So as technology kind of does, technology intervened in this situation. And not maybe like you'd think. You might be thinking like, oh, cell phone. Well, yeah, but listen to this. In September 2021, so she was reported missing in
2 months.
August.
Okay, so 1 month.
Yes, about 3 months since she was last seen alive in
Okay.
July. The FBI's National Threat Operations Center, didn't even know what that was,
Wow.
received a cyber tip from an online platform. And they said, I think somebody needs to look at these pictures. I was on a site. These pictures were uploaded to it. I think you guys should see these. So several images were uploaded with this cyber tip. These photographs are key pieces of evidence that totally shifts the case from just a missing person to probably a homicide investigation. Okay? Lots of mayhem ahead. What are the details of these photos? Well, from what I can get, one of the photos or several of the photos show Cassidy partially clothed and confined in what looks like a cage,
Oh my gosh.
located inside a loft on Phelps property, like a barn loft.
Oh my goodness.
Other images were even more gruesome, depicting Cassidy's body. This is really hard to hear, you guys. Bound to a gallows like frame, and looked like what was happening was her remains were being processed
I'm sorry, what?
like a deer would be processed. So there are things called gallows frames that you can hang an animal from that you have killed
Like a
to
deer?
skin it and that is the apparatus that these pictures depicted Cassidy's body being bound to.
And these pictures were found online?
Online. Someone has contacted the FBI's National Threat Operations Center and said, I am disturbed by this. I was on a site. These images were uploaded. Now, it's anonymous. So I don't know much more. Like, again, we're going to talk a little bit about where these photos came from exactly. But so the cage, the frame that she's bound to, authorities were able to identify that is Cassidy in these photos because of her physical features, because the environment, and they knew this is happening on Moon Valley Road in the cabin
Yeah.
on the property. I mean, it was not hard to tell that. And just like we've had in other cases,
Yep.
the good old IP address, whatever the
Yes.
fuck that is.
I know, right?
I'm going to have to do some research on the IP address. But basically, that IP address is what shows like the computer where these photos were uploaded from.
Wow.
And that led them back to Dallas County, Missouri, to Windyville, to the property of James Phelps. So all the things were coming together. The FBI, of course, immediately contacts the Dallas County Sheriff's Office, and the sheriff there, Scott Rice, later said, without that cyber tip, we probably would have never known what happened to Cassidy.
Wow.
Ever. And think about that. Without a digital footprint, this case may have never, ever been solved. If he had not uploaded those photos, he probably would have gotten away
What
with
a
it.
dumbass.
What an idiot. What
the fuck?
Seriously.
Why would you do that?
Not only do
It's
you
almost like he
do
was
this,
bragging.
1000%. And I want to say, thank you for calling in that anonymous tip, but what were you on that he thought he could upload those photos to?
Yeah, what site were you on that you saw those?
And a lot of people talk about the black web or the dark
Yeah.
web. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But basically,
I don't
again,
know. I don't want anything to do with
no,
the dark
same.
web.
I know, same. On September 16th, 2021. So July, August, September, we're talking about 3 months. Deputies finally execute a search warrant for Phelps property. They were investigating a possible missing persons case, a kidnapping. They were hoping it was not going to be a homicide, but what they discover is bad. Inside a barn on Phelps property, they locate a metal cage consistent with the image from the cyber tip. She's not in it. Investigators also discover human remains all over the property.
All over?
Like they had scattered her remains. Some burned, some fragmented. Sheriff Rice would later say that it was one of the worst crimes they've ever encountered.
Oh my God.
Which you figure Lebanon, I mean, this is we're talking about little Midwest towns here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
You get traffic tickets. That's about it.
Exactly. Now, the remains, of course, were sent to the Missouri State Highway Patrol Crime Lab, and DNA testing did confirm that this victim was Cassidy Rainwater.
Goodness.
Yeah. Now, again, that's the moment. This goes from a missing person to a homicide. And I cannot imagine them having to make that call
to the family.
To the family. Yeah.
No.
According to redacted probable cause statements and court filings later published by local outlets, including Ozarks First and KY3 News, investigators think they pieced together what happened.
Okay.
And it's a horrifying timeline.
Oh, no.
They believe that she went to live there, thinking he was giving her a nice place to live, and that not long after she arrived, she was put into that cage inside the barn that summer in 2021. Authorities believe she was also murdered not long after that. They do not believe she was alive on the property very long. After her death, prosecutors stated that efforts were made to dismember her, burn her remains, and attempted to destroy evidence. In court, a prosecutor described the case as one of the most disturbing crimes ever prosecuted in this county. And there was evidence of the gallows and what looked like something had been processed. There was also evidence of that, which was a human body. Let's take a look at over the 200 pieces of evidence that helped investigators lock down an arrest on James and Timothy. Okay, physical evidence at Moon Valley Road. When investigators did their search warrant, they found that the crime scene totally lined up with what the digital photos had said. So in the loft of the cabin, there's the cage, and it's constructed of wood and metal, just like in the picture. Inside one of the buildings was a deep freezer. Police discover human remains. This is sick. Human remains in this freezer that had been packaged like meat. Hamburger, steaks, labeled with the date 7/24, July 24th. They do believe that that is the day that she was killed. DNA testing again later confirms these are her remains. It's awful.
It's like they did slaughter her like a deer and then packaged her like a deer.
And sadly, it looks like for however long she was left in that cage, she went without food. She was tortured. I mean, this is terrible. A terrible ending to this woman's life. Outside the home, in the along the acreage, they found skeletal remains, mainly bone fragments, like it had been ground up or cut up, and again, destroying evidence. And they did locate that frame in the backyard, and it matched the background of the graphic photos.
The gallows.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
Now, while processing the Moon Valley Road property, investigators find those 7 specific photos on James Phelps' cell phone, and they were identical to the ones sent in by the anonymous tip. So
he had them on his phone?
On his phone still. Yeah, direct link to him, the capture and killing of Cassidy. Thank goodness. Yes, no kidding. Now, Timothy Norton. While James Phelps pretty much said, I'm not talking, no comment, no comment, I'm going to be silent, chicken shit.
Yeah.
And he later enters an Alford plea. We've talked about this before, but remember, an Alford plea is basically where you're like, okay, I'm guilty, but I'm only saying I'm guilty because there's so much evidence. I'm sure I'm going to be found guilty, but I'm not admitting I did anything.
Saying, yeah.
I'm just saying, so you are guilty and don't want to admit it. Okay? I mean, the evidence is overwhelming. Now, Timothy Norton was, I don't know if you want to say weaker than James, or I don't know, but he broke. It didn't take long for him to basically several interviews. He was shifting his stories. FBI is like, dude, we know you're lying.
Yeah.
Finally, he provides a detailed confession. So according to Tim Norton, the night of July 24th, he admits that James Phelps contacted him via cell phone to come out to his cabin. He also confesses that he helped Phelps physically restrain Cassidy.
Oh my gosh.
He also claims he helped hold her down while Phelps strangled her.
Oh my gosh.
Jim Norton also admits to assisting Phelps in moving her body to the gallows outside, where they began the process of dismembering her.
What?
They are monsters.
Holy hell.
Monsters. Now, we talk about motive. What the hell is your motive here? Because you're a sick fucker? I mean,
what could you possibly gain from this?
Well, Norton, of course, never gives a clear answer why, except that he says this was planned. James had this planned, it sounds like. I mean, he described the events very much lacking emotion, although later he does call himself a monster during his sentence phase.
You
But
think?
yeah. Now, both men, of course, are arrested. James Phelps was initially arrested on kidnapping. Tim was arrested shortly after there with abandonment of a corpse and accessory offenses. Of course, both later are charged with first-degree murder once all this comes out. Headlines, true crime podcasts cover it because of the brutality. And Cassidy was just a person trying to find her way in this world, and these two men took advantage of her. So for Dallas County, this is personal. I mean, this is local, personal, and things like this don't happen
I mean,
here.
it's just so detailed.
Ugh.
Like they
Ugh.
knew what they were going to do.
Now, following their arrest, two things additionally developed and were discovered. In a strange turn of events on October 4th, 2021, so about a month after these men, or a couple weeks after these men had been arrested, the cabin on Moon Valley Road was burned to the ground.
Oh, I wonder.
Now, investigators, of course, said this is arson. This was intentional. And listen to this. Firefighters discovered an incendiary device and tripwire on the property. So someone had booby-trapped this place. Basically, if someone tried to cross this line, it would blow up.
And it did.
Yeah, and it did. And so they feel like they're like, again, no one was ever charged for this fire, but it sounds like either someone from the outside was helping them destroy evidence or they had set this up before they were.
Yeah.
So that happened. But it effectively destroyed the physical crime scene. Thank goodness evidence had already been collected. So it wasn't like they got to it before. Also, in February 2022, while Tim Norton is in custody for Rainwater's murder and kidnapping, prosecutors mentioned, we did discover that this guy has a massive love for child pornography and discovered horrible things on his device.
Oh.
So he's a bad person. This guy is not, he's messed up. Due to their arrest and sentencing for Cassidy's case, neither of these things were ever taken to court and prosecuted. So the fire, the child pornography charges, none of that was ever taken to court because,
wow.
Yeah, again, even more reasons to keep these sickos behind bars. Now, in 2023, both men enter guilty pleas. James pleads guilty to first-degree murder, kidnapping, and abandonment of a corpse. And he admits to killing Cassidy. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. I think they should die like she had to.
I feel like they should
have exact same thing.
Strap them on that frame alive.
Yes.
And dismember them alive.
First, we're going to starve you and torture you. And then we're going to, 1000%.
Yeah.
Timothy Norton pleads guilty to murder.
Now,
Buffalo, Windyville, Lebanon, the surrounding Dallas County, Missouri community this is just devastating for them. Even though a lot of them may have not known Cassidy well, the brutality of this and that people are capable of doing this in their community.
Yeah.
They held vigils. They created Justice for Cassidy social media groups. Friends posted photos of Cassidy smiling. They don't want people to remember her with all these brutal details. She was a daughter. She was a friend. She was a mother to 6 children, a human being, and family members just said she deserved so much better than this.
Well, yeah.
Now, I didn't find a lot of information. I did want to make sure her kids were okay.
Are they?
Well, at least we said like we said earlier, one of her biological sons, who was 16 years old at the time of her death, had been adopted by another family in a different city. And this family intentionally shielded him. So I think he was protected fairly well. Other children, from what I read, were in the care of relatives. Her oldest son, Aiden, has spoken publicly. He spoke at her memorial service, and he said she was a hardworking mom. And one of his most fond memories of her is she would sing to him.
Aww.
And her children, this is even worse. I mean, what's happening in our world?
Yeah.
Her children have faced significant trauma since she passed, including what I read, bullying at school.
Wow.
And recurring nightmares, especially the young kids. I know. Bullying for what? Because your mom was murdered?
Knowing the way that she was killed, that would haunt me my whole entire life.
Forever. Now, another interesting detail
You wouldn't sleep at night.
Oh, no. No. Another crazy detail about this case, in January 2024, so a couple years after all this happened.
2 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. A judge awarded Rainwater's children a $30 million default judgment in a wrongful death lawsuit against James Phelps and Timothy Norton, which is amazing. They won that.
Mhm.
But as we all know, they don't have $30 million. So really, is it a win? Well, again, I didn't know this, but since they got a award from a judge for this, the ruling does allow the children to apply for up to $300,000 from what's known as the Missouri Tort Victims Compensation Fund.
I didn't know that existed.
I'm From what I read, this exists for this case
Yeah.
where they win a wrongful death lawsuit,
They can't get
obviously
the money.
but they deserve some
So they get
compensation.
300,000.
Maybe. Um, this really makes us think this case about a lot of things we don't want to think about. For instance, the vulnerability of people experiencing housing instability.
Mhm.
They are so vulnerable.
They will go anywhere.
Yes, and they'll trust a lot of people. And if they're homeless and they're living outside, especially, that's very dangerous.
Mhm.
Also, the dangers of isolation in rural communities. You know, I love rural communities. That's where we came from. I love acreage and farms, but
Mhm.
it can offer an environment where things can happen and people don't know about it.
Yeah.
Also, the reality of online exploitation. What the fuck are people being allowed to upload on the internet?
That idiot. I'm so glad he uploaded those photos
Well,
because,
absolutely. That's the only way they would have solved this. And that's where we say the power of digital evidence. Some claim these photos came from the dark web. Again, please say no, that it wasn't like the dark web. Sheriff Rice emphasized again, technology made a difference. A single uploaded image triggered a federal response on a federal level. And without that, no arrest, no charges, no life sentence, no answer to the question, what happened to Cassidy? So even though that person was anonymous, very grateful they did that. It's really easy to let the shock of this case overshadow who she was,
Mhm.
because it was so terrible. But that's not what we want to do. We are here to say Cassidy Rainwater. She was a 33-year-old mom, daughter. She's loved, she's missed, and was way more than how her life ended.
Yes.
So if you want to say a quick prayer for Cassidy's family and their healing journey, that'd be great.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just want to come to you today and we just want to lift Cassidy's spirit with you, Lord. And we just pray for her family and her kids. And we do hope that they got some of that money that they so deserved, and just that they can lead somewhat of a normal life with everything going on. And we know, Lord, that you have the power to do anything. So
Yes.
we just ask that you do that and you watch over them, and just anybody who knew Cassidy, her friends that are trying to, settle in their stomach the way this happened, that you can just bring them peace of some kind, and let them know that she is in a better place now. And we just give you her family and friends, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Cassidy's story is very tragic, horrific, but it does one thing it can give us, or if we let it, is kind of this purpose of remembering her life, remembering what she stood for, her small actions, and that, you guys, little things make a big difference. We say that over and over. So little things, being aware, reporting, it makes a
And
difference.
these idiots that are doing these crimes, they do little things that are really stupid
So
that
stupid.
can get them caught.
Yes. If you feel inspired, like, okay, how can this story make an impact on you, or what can you do, or how can you be more aware? Well, number one, as we always say, if something seems wrong, whether you think someone's being abused, exploited, someone's in danger, say something. And again, we're not saying like make up things, like what you know. If you really feel and know something's happening,
Like
report
the
it.
Elizabeth Smart case, like people that
Yes,
would run into her, like, I have a feeling that
that's
girl.
her.
So just call.
Yeah, like I think I
Even if
saw
it's just a
her.
feeling. You could
Yes,
be totally wrong and, yeah,
right.
messing up someone's day, but it's a feeling.
Yes. If it's online or involves potential human trafficking, because that's kind of what they were doing here, you can
Mhm.
report tips anytime to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, even if it's an adult. And we'll list that number is 1-800-843-5678, because these little tips can save lives. And again, Cassidy's case, a little digital tip, a couple pictures, and this brought the police to
Mhm.
her. You can support victims and survivors. A lot of communities do have local centers, especially like in bigger cities, Kansas City, Springfield, St. Louis. You could either offer your time, resources. I know in Kansas City we have a woman's shelter, and you can like donate like clothes, specifically like dress clothes, so
Mhm.
women have can come down there and get dress clothes
For
to
an
go on job
interview?
interviews and stuff. So things like that, donations, volunteering, or just listening without judgment, can help people that go through whether it's homelessness, abuse, whatever it might be. Now, you can also educate yourself, again, learning the warning signs, sharing information responsibly on social media, and just being proactive. Again, if you notice something unusual, report it. And we can just continue to keep Cassidy's name alive. Again, that's what we're doing here. Cassidy Rainwater, remembering her story. It's not just a headline. And that, her life was worth a lot more than how it ended. And again, we're just trying to be responsible and share those stories with you guys as well. So, sometimes you're like, my vote, it's not going to make a difference. One little thing I do is not going to, I can't change the world. Yeah, you can.
Well, that person did.
Absolutely. And many do every day. Cassidy's case proves otherwise. One image, one tip, one person willing to notice something. Yes, be aware. Speak up, help your neighbors, support survivors, and that's how we can honor Cassidy. Because even in darkness, our actions can shine light.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We know this content is heavy. It has been very heavy for me, I will
Yes.
admit. But our hope is that by continuing to speak the names of our victims, Cassidy Rainwater, by continuing to educate the public on warning signs, digital awareness, and community vigilance, we can, even in a small way, help prevent this from happening to someone else. And if you have time, please give us a rate and review so we can continue to bring these cases to light. This has been Missouri Mayhem. I'm Mindy.
And I'm Megan. You guys, until next time, as always, stay safe out there, stay kind, and stay curious. Missouri, you bring the mystery.
And we'll bring the mayhem.
Peace out.